It is on. It is on. Good morning, Atsuki. How are you? So today, I'm gonna model with the light source on and see how that changes how I sculpt. As um, as it doesn't really matter. I mean, I'm just gonna do something. I think just some alien. Hey, Fuchsia, Stygius, how's it going? Let's see. It is 113. Crazy. As of this morning, there are only 14 spots left on Unreal Bjorn. So in 24 hours, we almost filled the 100 spots. That is crazy. That is insane. All of you are amazing. In 24 hours, almost 100 spots been taken on the Unreal Bjorn. That was extremely fast. Last year it was like 2 weeks, and the numbers were like trailing. But that's crazy that we're almost at the cap of 100 artists. 14 spots left. That is absolutely. I would not think it would go this fast. I would not at all. But I'm very happily surprised that we're almost full at the Unreal Bjorn. That is crazy. Zealin, you're surprised there's spots still left? I think those will be snagged quite fast. I don't know really what that thinking is, Zealin, why like certain people hesitate. I know that some people hesitate to be a part of it because of the judges. They feel like it's too much pressure, which is, on a personal level, I can't relate to that. I would love, like, okay, I'm gonna start the timer. Let's get to sculpting. I'm gonna do some sort of creature. But like I said, today I will experiment with modeling with the light source on, as in like the custom light setup I have. I'm gonna have it switched on so we can see. So I'll see what it does, but without the details of the kind of generic light, because I feel like occasionally what happens when you have the what's it called, the kind of the sculpting, with the sculpting section, I don't know what is the technical term. Oh shit. Rip. Atsuki. Oh, that's cool. You can PM me on Discord. Hey, Frogs, how's it going? My art will for sure this year. I mean, you are my art, aren't you? What's happening? Hey, buddy. Miguel. But yeah, I'm excited, and we only have 14 spots left. I am excited of how it's gonna end up being this competition. I think there's some juggernauts who joined in, some really good artists, some returning. No, that looked really bad. Some returning contestants. There's a lot of contestants from last year and the previous years. Really cool to see. I'm excited. No, it's not what I wanted. Is that what I wanted? No, that's not what I wanted. Yeah, I was starting to talk about, like, I would not be the person that would feel intimidated by not joining in on an art competition where there are judges that you admire. For me, what I would, how I would think would be that I would want to, um, I would want to like show the person that I admire what I can do rather than hide. Uh, you know, that's like that's my thinking, at least what I how I would act. I know I would act that way, like that if someone I admire would be looking at my art, I wouldn't be like, oh, I don't want them to see my art because in my mind, I'm not good enough, at their level or whatever. I would not think that way personally. I can absolutely relate to someone having that point of view. I can sympathize. Oof, that was a tricky one for my Swedish tongue. Um, but I would not. I would make sure to like join a competition where the person that I admire is actually um, encouraged to give feedback to you. So for me, that would be like a given. I would be extremely um, pumped, if you may. Frogs. I mean, Evan is a really good artist. He does he does costuming and characters really really well. He's also a great educator and talker. He's an all-around cool guy. I mean, all of the judges, they're cool people. You know, I wouldn't I wouldn't invite assholes. But yeah, it's a really weird thing. Like I discussed this with I think it was Max Berman's business partner, and Max's business partner, they're both from America, right? And on the last workshop I was at lecturing, the art department Berlin, there was a panel discussion, and I was a part of the panel discussion. And what was said during that, what we talked about was like networking. And I was honest and told them about the cultural difference from coming from a Nordic country, going out into the industry of multi-international industry, right? Where I'm no longer in my Swedish little bubble, but I'm actually having to face and compete against others. And the one thing I mentioned to them was that it was a stark difference in like culture of behavior from being Swedish to being an American. And there was some laughs about it, and especially Max Berman's business partner. But I explained that, like, for Swedish people in general, at least how it used to be. I don't know nowadays, but because I haven't lived in Sweden in a long time. But the general idea of how Swedes are in terms of their work ethic is that they let the work speak for themselves, right? They don't scream at the top of the mountain, like, look at me, I'm good. I'm the best in the world, right? But compared to Americans, in my experience, or what was in my experience, was that even though, let's say, the American artist isn't equally skilled and it just isn't as good as I am, a lot of the times the American artist got seen or heard significantly more because of their social behavior, like how they are. You know, like everybody knows that Americans are quite loud, right? That's nothing bad. It's just that was like the social difference from being a Swedish person, where it's almost rude to brag, you know, like how good you are. While in America, or in American culture, it's quite normal, you know, to talk about how good you are. And I mean, this is oversimplification. It's obviously not. It's not that black and white, and I do understand. You know, people are people, and bear with me, right? Frogs. Yeah. So one of the things that I mentioned in that panel discussion was that I've had to really put effort in being social and being like market myself so that people can see me and hear me and kind of doing it like the American does it, but kind of in a in-between behavior, because I'm still Swedish, you know. I can't. It's well engraved into my nature not to be too loud. But it was a really stark wake-up call, like in the early 2000s, when I started being exposed to all these American artists and talking to them and so on, is that they were extremely confident and extremely good at pushing themselves into situations where they will benefit. And I quickly realized that it's something a skill set I don't have and that I need to learn, because it's really, really useful in the industry to be able to be seen and heard. That's why, it's very important to be a part of a community, posting work online, because it doesn't, I mean, okay, think about it this way, right? Someone that's louder than you, is seen more often than you, has a just statistically more exposure on internet, and it doesn't matter how good you are when you're sitting in your corner somewhere, because no one will see it. Future sound. Zealin, yeah, it is uncomfortable to toot your own horn and self-promote, but it's an extremely important part in this industry. And in general, I think I've learned a lot of that from Americans, how they can push themselves into a space that they like. They don't mind being heard when it matters, right? And also sometimes when it doesn't matter. It's not the perfect system, right? But there's definitely lessons to be learned from that stark behavior. But I think also what as an example, like I'm picking on Americans here. I mean, but that's as an example, Americans can also learn a thing or two from Swedes. In that sense, that yeah, it's good to be heard, but at the end of the day, what matters is what you do, right? And skill should talk for itself. And if you don't, then what does it matter how loud you can scream if you can't deliver, And you can see that also happening in the industry, where there's someone who's very loud or gets very internet famous in terms of like an idea that they had or a painting that they did, and then they started getting jobs, and then they can't deliver. And especially, it was really popular a few years ago, was art thieves that applied. I mean, it still happens, but there was art thieves who stole art from others, applied to big studios, and they got hired, so that now they could say, "Oh, I'm at Treyarch or whatever," but they have applied there with stolen artwork, and those studios quickly realized, like, oh shit, we hired a fraud. Froax. I mean, that is one way to get hired in the industry. I mean, that is having a kick-ass portfolio, sending it to studios, and waiting to get hired. That is more like towards the Swedish way of approaching the problem, right? Is that behavior is letting the work speak for itself, where you don't do a lot of marketing, or you don't do a lot of social media push. You're just having kick-ass work. But then again, it's important to be seen, because that's how people find you on internet, right? Or you can directly send them to the studio you want to work at. But chances are someone wants to hire you from a studio you had no idea what they were doing or what they were looking for until you get that email. And when you get that email, that client it will maybe come across as like the perfect fit, right? But yet there's nothing of what they're doing on internet because they are under a contract to be quiet. And those are also the things, like it's numerical advantage to be seen on internet if you want to be seen. Well, I mean, your art is one's art is obviously designed for observation. So it's a little bit of an interesting kind of conundrum that the work, it has to speak for itself. It has to be strong, but what also has a big matters a lot is how well can you be seen. And with that being said, a lot of things that can help you in the long run is also a community and a ring of friends and so on. You know, like you guys now, all you who come back here every day, you know each other quite well now, and you are on the same journey together. And I can guarantee you, like in 2-3 years, when some of you are hired full time and work, and you stumble on the person, you create a bond, and you know, it's a completely different thing, and that's what happens in the industry as well. I mean, in the end of it, we're all human beings, and we all love being around people, right? So if you know a cool person, that person is still going to be cool 5 years later. And if you're in a position to hire someone 5 years later, why not hire that cool person? You know? Future sound. To flip that around, what happens is the studio culture doesn't recognize skill. That happens as well. That happens absolutely. That happens a lot of times. Um, Without a doubt, it happens. So the question is then, because you know that happens, is are you gonna, you know, how can you breach that? How can you get through HR? And sadly, a lot of cool people can't get hired because they don't have an experience, or they can't get past HR filtering and so on. And that's where, for example, networking comes into play. That you know someone that knows someone cool. You know, like it has happened to me when you go in the in-house studio and you talk to the art director, and the art director is like, we need a new environment artist. And he asks the artist, like, do you know any cool environment artist that needs a job? And you know, you go through your friends list, and then you go like, nah, they're all busy, or no one is available. He's like, all right. And then 1 week later, you see a looking for environment artist application or post on the studio's website, you know, like, we're looking to hire. So always what happens is the art director himself or herself goes through their own friend list. Hey, buddy, are you looking for a job? Are you available in these periods? Then there's nothing to do with HR, right? Or it's like the shotgun approach, is like people just sending shit through to HR, and HR is like, how we can't send all 100 applicants to the art director, because he will only be looking at portfolios. He won't be doing the job we hired him for, right? So it's a little bit, you know, like the HR is there just for the numeric like separation between everyone that applies to those who have like ticks the boxes of what's appropriate to be hired as. So that in that sense, it's like if you're gonna do the shotgun approach of sending something to HR and be funneled through the system outside of the people working there's network, right? So that means that someone who doesn't know you, someone who only judges you by face value and how professional you look, or looking at what numbers do you have on education or whatever, you have to consider those things. If you're going to use the shotgun approach, you have to guaranteed take these into consideration and consider what a non-artist person looks for before they send it to the art director, because most likely that will happen. And absolutely, Mel, skill in the end is what is the most important, right? Because when you get hired, that's what you're going to do all day. You're not going to be sending portfolios all day. You're going to be making art for them. So in the end, that's what counts, right? But I'm just saying, what the difference there is. Someone who's louder than you can steal your job, but that person is significantly worse skill-wise. Yet that person, I'm not talking about Americans here now. I'm just saying in general. Shit. You have to consider these things. Like, oh, I'm way better than that guy or that girl. Yet they got hired by this studio. Oh, shit. Well, maybe they have ticked those boxes that I've talked about. Maybe they have a better network than you. Maybe they know someone at the company that put their name in. Maybe they are better at pushing their face around social media. Who knows, right? But nevertheless, I think it's really important that as an artist looking for jobs, you got to consider these things of like how to be seen, what's the best presentation of your work, your information. It's not as easy. I mean, for some people, it's as easy as just having kick-ass work and then getting traffic. But again, having kick-ass works requires people to see it and then share it and saying, hey, look at this kick-ass work, right? I found on the internet. Then the only difference there is that you are not the one pushing your URL on people. It's an organic growth, but you're leaving a lot of chances to, what's it called, happen chance, random luck, if you're just going to put something on internet and then hope for the best that someone finds it. Discord, absolutely, it's hidden. It's hidden completely. And you have to be online in order to be seen. And you have to showcase your work. Do it once a week. Make a post once a week on your social media saying, here's what I did this week. Hashtag stuff that is relevant to what you've drawn. And then all of a sudden, boom, you have one new follower, right? And then next week you post, and maybe that follower shares your post, and then you have double exposure for nothing, more or less, just for sharing your stuff. And then, do that for a year, and you're on your way. But if you never do that, you won't be seen. It doesn't matter how great you are. And that's also, again, that's also why some who are not great, as good as you, can get hired before you. So, like I said, I had to learn that behavior rather fast when I got exposed to internet and concept art back in like 2000s. Weird head. Oh, so that button. Pretty fun to see it with the lighting. Oh shit. Wow. I wonder, I mean, this has to be the right way to model with the light on, right? Because this is more or less what will be transferred into a game, not this. Because this is with a shader that enhances contours. So if you're too subtle, it won't show up here as strongly. That's pretty cool. Future sound. Give me back concept art days where I could talk to you, Matt Satterman. Yeah, I mean, the thing is with that is that that was organic growth as well, and anything art like concept art related was there, and art directors went there. That's the only difference. Exposure worked there. Nowadays, it's exactly the same. It's just that it's split up between many different platforms. Hey, Frenchy, welcome to the end. Frogs, why they shut down concept art? Drama. Massive drama. Megalomaniac. Megalomania. Megalomaniac. Megalomaniacal? Is that even a word? Maniacal? Drama? Say that one 5 times fast is impossible. Kevin, it's easier to see shapes with the shader. Yeah, exactly. But I mean, this is more what's going to be translated into a model, like in-game character, right? Rather than the shader that enhances details. Megalomaniac. Yes, French. That's, I mean, that's like I am a megalomaniac, but megalomaniacal can't that be like the verb? Like your behavior is very megalomania maniacal. So for all you here who don't know, there's a very few spots left on at Unreal Tournament 3. It's an art competition that sign up started yesterday. We were at the beginning of the stream 14 or 16 away from the 100 artist cap. So make sure you take a spot if you want it. Otherwise, you can look at the people at the having fun at a distance, because you're not gonna have fun if you don't sign up. Um, let's he looks so content. Happy guy. That didn't work. I just clicked shortcuts that obviously didn't. No. Select. Duplicate. Copy object. Paste object. Shit. Figured it out. Pretty fun. I like it. It's a fun little. I mean, Blender is nice and like you can sketch a lot of it. Yeah, so a bit of Java. I don't know, maybe. So Monday morning study, weekend hard at work. We're gonna find someone to raid. Who to raid? What's Gears Art doing? Let me guess. Oh, nothing interesting. Maybe Joe. What's Joe doing? He's texting and modeling. Oh, team members. No, we're gonna raid someone we haven't raided in a while. Scantling. Yes, this is Blender. 2.8, you could start sculpting. It's really straightforward. If you, Scantling, if you go to the YouTube archive or the website underneath the stream, there's archives and you can find when I start to figure out Blender, sculpting in Blender if you're interested. If you don't know how to do it, I decided I'd learn to sculpt on stream. So you can go back and find that a couple of maybe 50 episodes back. Anyways, I'm gonna raid, do the outro, and then have a good one. Toodles.